Hello everybody, welcome along to another edition of the Rebel Wild Ball, and I think we're going to start with the Cork County Board meeting on the way to start anything, which was held on Tuesday night, and this is where the delegates were asked to vote, and there was three options about a slightly restructuring of the junior and intermediate championships. At the end of the meeting it was absolutely packed, nothing like a vote to bring them to town. They went for option B. And what this will really mean going forward, well, if we look at the hurling side of the house, no major changes there. Currently there are 5 hurling competitions in Cork organised by the County Board, from Premier Senior, Senior A, Premier Intermediate, Intermediate A and Lower Intermediate. Well, the Lower Intermediate will have a rechristening operation done, and that will be now known as a Premier Junior Championship. I think that's that side of it. The football at the moment, what they have is 4 competitions. More or less the same thing: Premier Senior, Senior A, Premier Intermediate, Intermediate A. But in that Intermediate A there are 16 teams, so 4 of those will be relegated down into this new competition called Premier Junior, and to make the number up to 12, the 8 divisional junior football champions will be all promoted, which I think is going to add enormously to the championship this year, the divisional championships, because if you win the Musgrave Junior Football Championship, you're automatically promoted. So I think that's going to make those championships, as I said, more very competitive, very interesting. And already Orden are smiling because they now are automatically promoted, since there's no competition for no junior competition in the Barry division. Anyway, this weekend for many people it's about the Ballygiblin fairy tale story. Remember, prior to this year, all they had won was 2 North Cork Championships, 2004, I think, in 2018, and they won the Junior B County back in 1993. And here they are, trotting out to Croke Park on Sunday, or Saturday, my apologies, at 3 o'clock to take on Mooncoin from Kilkenny. And the Mooncoin club, they're currently playing junior, obviously will be back up in the meeting next year, but if you look back at their history, they've won 10 senior titles. Okay, the last of those was back in 1965. They won 2 intermediates, the last of those in 1995. But they're going to bring a huge amount of this. They won the Kilkenny Premier Minor Hurling Championship in 2018. They are a good team. When they won the Kilkenny Junior Hurling Championship in 2016, they got to the All-Ireland final, and in that final they actually met Mayfield from Cork, who defeated them by a single point. Nicky Kelly getting a last minute winner, not equaliser. So here they are back again. It happens in Kilkenny clubs that a number of Kilkenny clubs have won this title twice. So like in Kilkenny, promotion and relegation is part of their life. Anyway, prior to saying anything about the match itself, that the Ballygiblin club, and I'm told that the place is festooned with red and white, everybody has bought into this. Massive support from the local business people. The local school up there has really become a mecca for this event, and so why not? There will never be anything like it again. You can be restful sure of that. This Friday night they have their own version of Up for the Match, and that's going to be shown by a company called Páirc TV, which people in that neck of the woods will be well aware of, and this is going to be, showing clips of past matches on their journey this far, magical journey it is, interviews with players, the management, I suppose. There'll also be interview with past players, wives, partners, and there'll be the entertainment will be supplied by the young children of the parish, and I think it's a lovely little part to add to it. It will also feature a little bit about how local farmers have come to the aid of this club. Now, this is ever before they embarked on this particular mission, if you like, but 21 local farmers have donated a calf each. These calves have been reared at the moment, they're nearly there, and they'll be sold, I think, in Fermoymat in very, very shortly. Would it be great crack if they had the 21 calves of the All-Ireland trophy going in there. Staying with the agricultural angle, if you like, that this is calving season for those of you who are into that method of making money, of living, and they say that 60% of the nation's calves are born between the 5th of February and I think it's the 21st or 22nd. The other 10 are born previously, the other 30 after. So by that reckoning, I would think that there'll be about 100 calves born in Ballygiblin next Saturday, during this whole massive occasion. But and the local farmers from Kilkenny, from Tipperary and Limerick in particular, have been offering their assistance, that they'll keep an eye on the maternity wards up there during Saturday. But anyways, look, it's an incredibly great story. And do I think that they have a chance of winning it? I honestly do. They have some really good players. They're all good players. But like when you think of Fiona Hurley's outstanding fullback, Mark Keane, what he brings to it. Then you have the two young Leaving Cert students. All of these went to school in Mitchelstown CVS. Willie Duggan, their great teacher, will be up there as well on co-commentary duty. Ryan Donegan and Dylan Sheehan, as I said, at midfield. And then you have the forward, Joseph O'Sullivan, who was able to take over the free-taking duty when Dara Flynn was out. Hopefully Dara's back as well. And then you have Colin English, the former Tipperary player, captain Tipperary to an All-Ireland final under 21 a couple of years ago. And then you have the mighty Shawnee Goals O'Sullivan, one of the busiest people. He's one of these farmers and calvers, and call him what you like. Interestingly, that it's the first time they'll come across water breaks in this journey, come across the absence of water breaks. And this is going to be special for everyone, but for two guys in particular, Sean Hennessy and Tom Molan, because they've been dedicated as the first official Mayorishkas in the Ballygiblin club. The two-person, staying with kind of two-person selection, they have Tom Molan, or David Moore, and Ronan Dewan as their manager. And some of you will know Ronan from his time. He's from Ahada, but he's done a great job with him. But his I think was it during the lockdown he decided to grow the hair, or he couldn't get someone to cut it, maybe more like it. And then he was meant to undergo a shearing operation after the North Cork final. That didn't happen. County was coming up. Then you had the Munster campaign. Now they're in All-Ireland final, so come what may on Saturday evening. I would imagine there'll be no end of hairstylists from the North Cork area lining up for the privilege of carrying out this particular shearing operation. It just adds another little dimension to it. I mentioned about, Kilkenny clubs have won this title on 9 occasions, Cork on 5, and for the record it started in 2003, and Ballinhassig won it that year, and it was followed up then by, I think, 2006 Father O'Neill's, 2009 Dripsy, 2011 Milan, and of course in 2017 we had Mayfield's famous victory. So it's been a while since the Cork team have won it. Moving on from there, Cork and the county teams are back in action in terms of the National League in Hurling and Football League, with playing Clare and Bode, a double bill at 5 and 7 o'clock on Saturday evening. This will be for the footballers. I got that, after last week's performance against Roscommon, you'd have a certain fear that surviving Division 2 might be a real challenge, and were they not to survive there, if they were relegated, it would mean that they, in my estimation, they'd be playing the Tailteann Cup this summer. Clare, they had a very good win against Offaly. They have a good record in Cork in recent time. They're well managed, well organised, and some serious veterans playing for them. They're going to provide a serious test of Cork. On the other hand, the hurlers, who, like many other counties, are in the Limerick slipstream, if you like, but if they stay there and not slip back would be one objective. So how they get on against Clare will be another interesting, it's going to be an interesting contest. And Noel Furlong is the new coach in there, so we'll see what he brings to the party. And of course, for Mark Coleman, who is the team captain, it'll going to be a special day for him now, leading them out for the very first time. They didn't play in any of the pre-season tournaments, if you like. In terms of Camogie, their league start this weekend as well, and we have the Cork's first team. I hope they're not playing, I don't think, but the second team they play in the Division 2, and they're taking on Wexford on Saturday in Castle Road at 2 o'clock. And then on Sunday, the county minor Camogie team, which have had good success over the past couple of years, will travel to Galway to play the opening round of the Tesco All-Ireland Championship that goes on in Tina GAA grounds at 2 o'clock. In ladies football, I know that there was a lot of disappointment last weekend because of Mourneabbey losing their All-Ireland final to the Galway champions. But like when you look back at what they have achieved, it's incredible. No team in Ireland has ever won what they have won in terms of junior, intermediate and senior titles, club titles, and then when you add in their 7 counties, they're a team that will be always part of folklore, and they're gone nowhere. But this weekend it's one ladies football game that will bring to your attention, and that's the Munster Post Primary Schools Senior B final between two Cork clubs, between Coláiste Cullough from Ballincollig and Coláiste Doonishkig from Cahir, and that game goes on in Mallow on Saturday at 12 o'clock. It's Munster Post Primary Schools at this time of year. It's end of season business, and this weekend it's the hurling that takes us into stage, and where it's disappointing, of course, that Cork are not involved in the big one in the Hartley Cup. There's plenty of representation in the concluding stages of the other one. In the Senior B, both semi-finals have Cork teams involved in them. On Friday, Rochestown College take on Causeway Comprehensive School. That game goes on in Mallow, 12 o'clock. I'd fancy Rochestown there. In the other game, which goes on Saturday in Kilmallock at 12, Charleville CBS will take on Scullin at Trinodif and Doon. So it would be nice if the 2 Cork schools won, that you'd have them in a B final. In the Senior C, you've Coachford College from Mid Cork, and hopefully there'll be a lot of support travelling out to Knocklong on Saturday for the 12:30 throw-in against Presentation Secondary School from Ballingarry in County Tipperary. And finally in schools, the Senior D, one of the semi-finals is between Scolveragansk Ball and Coláiste Creanefa from Carricknavar, and that game goes on in Gwinnett Saturday at 11 o'clock. 6 nations, and I know that many rugby fans, this is a real highlight of their year. It was 5 nations up to 2002. It's now the 6 Nations Championship. It's going to start with Ireland and Wales 2:15 in the Aviva. So there'll be 2 red teams in Dublin on Saturday, the mighty Ballygiblin and the mighty Welsh. Ireland, like, I think, are a far better players than Wales in terms of rugby, even though that over the past, since it became the 6 Nations, Wales have won it 6 times, including 4 Grand Slams, whereas Ireland have won it 4 and 2 Grand Slams. But I think Ireland are far ahead of Wales in terms of rugby at this juncture. Like, they have beaten the All Blacks, then the Welsh never have. And also, if you look at the Champions Cup, no Welsh team in it, where that are the 4 Irish provinces, will be in the last 16. And also in terms of beating the All Blacks, that Ireland now have successfully done. So I think that Ireland's form will continue on there. The other games that are in the same competition, it's Scotland versus England in the famous Calcutta Cup, and France and Italy go on Sunday. Interestingly though, I don't know whether you've been to any of these rugby matches, but prior to any corporate activity, there'd be social occasions, we put it like that. But seemingly the Welsh Rugby Football Union have brought in changes for matches in the Principality Stadium, that the bars will be closed at half time, because seemingly in maybe through the autumn internationals that some unruly behaviour went on. And also, I think this is gaslight, that they are reduced, that the alcohol that will be sold, that the drinks that will be sold, the alcoholic drinks, the alcohol content will be reduced from 5.2 to 4.8%. Like, probably the same thing will happen in Mitchelstown and surrounding areas on Saturday evening. It will. Anyway, it's a big weekend for John Murphy, the charismatic, talented golfer from Kinsale, is that he makes his PGA Tour debut in the AT&T. Get that, Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which starts today, and it goes on over 4 days now. For the first 3 days, the players play with an amateur, usually maybe a celebrity or something like that. And but there's a serious side of it as well, because the golfers' own scores are taken into account, and on Saturday evening there'll be a cut-off, and hopefully John gets into the final day. It's played over on Sunday. It's played over 3 courses on Thursday and Friday, and it goes back to the Pebble Beach thing for the Sunday one. It's interesting that when he tees off today, there's there'll be 2 professionals and 2 amateurs, and Seamus Power, that we've talked about a lot, is going to be alongside him. And their 2 caddies are both Corkmen. You've Simon Keelan, who's from Douglas, is Seamus Power's caddy, and Shane O'Connell from Kinsale is John's caddy. Ian Stafford, by the way, who's a local man here, is his coach. So it's going to be, making his debut on the PGA Tour. It has to be a special occasion. But look, the way he operates, he's a really grounded individual, and it's kind of one tournament at a time. So we wish him, his family, and all associated with that entourage this weekend the very best. Moving on to soccer, and I know that a lot of people last night were tuned into the Old Firm Derby, and there was a time when this thing was, well, it's probably still very atmospheric, if we can put it like that. But there was, I suppose, for the past number of seasons, one team was kind of way more dominant over the other, but there's no really close, and Celtic's 3-0 win over Rangers last night. They go a point ahead now in that particular championship. It's FA Cup weekend in England, and there are 16 ties played, starting off on Friday night, where Manchester United play Middlesbrough, and United will be looking for some bit of a result here to make up for all the poor publicity off the pitch, and maybe performance on the pitch not great either. 12 games on Saturday. Frank Lampard gets his managerial campaign off to start when they take on Brentford. Spurs take on Brighton. Spurs are this club that are, I don't know what you say about them, but seem to be operating around the top, but they need to win a trophy. Maybe this is their chance. And then Sunday, for all of you Liverpool fans, you can watch your game with Cardiff. And of course, the other story that's doing a little bit of the rounds, if you like, is that Roy Keane maybe go back to managing Sunderland. I'm not too sure about that. So with no American football this weekend, Tom Brady, as you know, retired, and like one of the greatest sports people of all time, and he played in 10 Super Bowls. I think he got most valuable player on 5 occasions, winning 7 during his 20-year stay with the New England Patriots, and then when he transferred to the Buccaneers, won one there as well. So, and I was mentioning at the start, that about the draft. This is where they ensured, if you like, that this competition or these teams are competitive, that when the students come out, these guys that are in scholarships, when they come out of college, they must go to teams that they're selected to. They don't have a choice in it. So they have this draft system, and the team that wins that's the lowest ranked team gets the first pick. So it's a really good system, I think, of making sure the thing is competitive. Don't think to operate in GAA. But anyway, when the draft was done back in his time in 2000, he was picked in the 6th round. That reminds me of this crack that goes on in training sessions and playgrounds, where you say to 2 lads, pick the 2 teams and you go first. And of course, you know what happens then, like the poor guys that are picked at the end. But anyway, Tom Brady was nearly that. He was 199th, and that's where he finished up. So until the next time, mind yourselves, take care, and thanks again for tuning in this way.